Arlberger. See, it has a Swiss flag or a sign as well as a Liechtenstein flag. That means you are in a Swiss region, but as far as the customs go, but also of course in Liechtenstein. So see, they let you go much easier than having you come. And here we are entering Austria. You see the eagle, the one eagle, and in the middle the red, white, red coats of arms of Austria, or the flag of Austria is red, white, red.
Well, Betty, here we are in Austria already. I'll tell you, Mariana just got us through the border real quick, didn't she?
Now, what a difference going across this border is going across the Russian or China border, right?
Yeah, I'll tell you, we didn't even have to get out of the bus or show our passports.
It was wonderful, yes.
But today we're also going to head back to Germany, too, so we're going to cross the border one more time. I'll tell you, it goes real fast. Anyway, Mariana is going to give us a little explanation now about the various states within the country of Austria. And while we're doing that, we're going to be able to take a look at some of the little villages and some of the countryside as we hear her explanation.
We're talking about states, federal states. It's more or less, you could compare it with the setup in Germany. This is the most federal, the most western federal state. It's called Vorarlberg, which means in front of, before the Arlberg mountain. The Arlberg mountain goes like this, north-south, and it's on our right. And this is the country that is just before the Arlberg mountain. It is also the state where the dialect of the people comes very close to that of the Swiss, or the German Swiss-speaking people. It's very hard for a Viennese person who's brought up in the eastern part of Austria to understand it. I mean, it's really actually not to be understood at all. And you can imagine being so far away from the capital of Austria, these people feel more acquainted with the Western countries in Europe, or the middle countries in Europe, like Switzerland and Germany, than their connection with Vienna, because they have to travel from here to Vienna. It will take them about 8 hours, and as you just saw, they are in Switzerland within half an hour. It's also very hard to get here, because to get from here to Vienna, because if you look at the map, Austria goes like this. It's middle and east and south Austria, and then you have West Austria. It's like an appendix. So if they want to, the Vorarlbergers want to go to Vienna, they have to go into Tyrol through Salzburg before they can go to Vienna.
Well, that's kind of interesting, Betty. To get from one side of your country to the other side, you've got to go through yet another country.
Isn't that incredible? Oh, I don't think I'd like that very much.
Well, as long as the customs are that easy, where you don't have to, go, oh, look, Betty, we're going to go right underneath the castle, right through the tunnel.
Oh, yes, sir. Well, I'll tell you, we are really going to be on top of a castle. We spend one night in a castle on this trip.
That's right.
Yes,
come May, we will be spending a night in the castle.
We will be in the castle, yes.
Isn't that going to be exciting?
It is.
Well, we're on our way today to Oberammergau. I finally learned how to pronounce that correctly.
With the B. By the way, excuse me, Marv, but look at that church. I think that it's so interesting to see how many domed or onion-shaped domes that we have in churches
Sort of reminds you of some of the stuff that you saw in Russia, didn't it?
Absolutely.
Some of that influence, yeah.
Uh-huh. Don't be surprised or fooled by the lack of traffic that you see. No cars, no people. Today is Sunday, and everybody is home doing their own thing.
That's right. It's nice to see these little streets and these little villages, so many of them, of course, that we pass by, and everything's so close to the road,
yes.
Isn't it, Betty?
Yeah.
Well, Mariana is, because we are heading on to Oberammergau, is going to give us a little explanation about the Passion Play and Oberammergau as you sit back and enjoy it.
Oberammergau is known for, it's the world-famous wood carving. They started in the Middle Ages, the people started to carve their own furniture, their own spoons and plates, etc. And as it became a place of pilgrimage, they got more and more into making wood carvings for other purposes. And now it's a big industry in town. Very, well, almost everybody that is involved likewise in playing a part in the Passion Plays and playing a big role in wood carving as well. You have these fantastic Christmas trees wood carvings where you can get the little things you can put up the trees with. Very many people buy all the things they need for Christmas in Overammergau. They're beautiful. Well, everything that has to do with wood carving you can find there. Other things like beer steins, of course, that are not carved of wood, but still. And another thing that is really makes Overammergau even more wonderful is the way they painted their houses, the facades of the houses. Very often these facades depict a little story or a little fairy tale from the big book of fairy tales of the brothers Grimm, like Hansel and Gretel. And you will see them on the facades of the houses. Sometimes it also tells the story of the family that built the house, etc., etc. This all, the whole ambience makes it a very pleasant, a really lovely place to be. And even without the Passion Plays, Overammergau is always visited to by very many tourists. Say, we are entering part of what is called the Lake District of Munich, around Munich, and these are the lakes which are south of Munich. And this is Weißensee, the White Lake. Doesn't look very white from here, but perhaps they're referring to the beer.
Betty, did you notice we're back in Germany again?
Of course not, but that's why I bring you along on these trips, so that you can keep me informed.
Well, that's through the magic of television. We're
Yes.
able to cross the border just almost undetected. If you look straight ahead, we're coming to another village, and there's a castle up straight ahead. Let's take a listen.
The castle you see up there is medieval, but it has been recently renovated. Isn't that pretty?
It's beautiful.
Most of those castles are turned into hotels. You've got a big chain of castle hotels. And most of them, of course, are turned into museums. And they have the typical old shutters with the red-white stripes.
Well, Betty, you wanted to see castles, and there's one. That looks, like you said, it's been redone, so it looks a little modern, doesn't it?
It does look modern. That's not my type of castle, Marv. I
You're-
want the other kind.
All right. Well, a little bit later on in today's show, we're going to take a look at one of King Ludwig's
Fine.
castles.
That's more Disneyland.
I think that's what we're all
Yeah.
used to, don't you?
Sure.
Yeah. Well, we're heading to the town of Füssen, and from what I understand in German, that means foot. And we're going to stop to have a beer and to have a dance. Now, doesn't that sound unusual?
And it was fun.
Then that's what you do on a Sunday afternoon in Füssen. Betty, that was so much fun that afternoon, and even you and I got out there and polked.
Oh, it was great. I want to tell you that's on the agenda. We will
It
be
is?
going on our trip.
Oh,
yeah.
great.
So we have lots of fun.
Oh, that's great. Now listen, here's the castle. Here's King Ludwig's castle, and I think this is called Neuenschwanstein. And anyway, we're going to learn a little bit about it right now from our guide.
It was built by actually the story of the so-called Mad King Ludwig. That's a matter of opinion, I should say. He was called mad because, of course, he spent an enormous amount of money on things like this. This is not his only castle. He's got another two, one near Chiemsee and one nearby Oberammergau.
That's your storybook castle, if there ever was one.
Yeah, but I'm thinking I have second doubts about it. Look at that snow up there. I think I'd be cold.
Well, you know, Ludwig had another castle very close to this called Swansgau, where he actually grew up.
What did you call that, Mar?
Swansgau.
Oh, that's so good.
Did I do well? Oh, well, thank you. And we are actually going to visit on another program another castle that's closer to Oberammergau. I've got to learn to say that correctly. And we'll show that on another program. But right now, let's listen to Mariana.
The Yellow Castle, that's the one he grew up in. And because he loved the environment so much, he wanted to live close by. And that's why he built New Swanstein, the new Swan Stone. But unfortunately, he only lived here for about 100 days, and then he was shot.
Poor King Ludwig.
Yeah.
We'll learn more about him, though, in other programs. Betty, this is called Weiss Church, and this is a Catholic church that it seems to be way out in nowhere.
It really is in the boonies. There's nothing around. Absolutely
Just a farmhouse.
Nothing. Yes.
And this is as big as a cathedral. And as you can see on the outside and on the inside, too, they were doing restoration work on this church. It was absolutely beautiful.
The
Absolutely
colors, and the scenery around it, the surrounding territory was gorgeous.
Oh,
huh?
just absolutely beautiful. And I think this was sort of some of the surprises that you see in Bavaria. I mean, you come across these churches out in the countryside.
Unexpectedly.
Yeah, exactly.
There they are. Mm-hmm.
And the inside, of course, as we can see, is beautiful too. There wasn't very much light here, as it was rather difficult to photograph this on videotape. But we tried to give you a little bit of the feeling of it anyway, and the statuary that's in there. Was absolutely magnificent.
By next year, I would imagine they will pretty well be finished, at least
Well, I
as
should
part
hope
of it,
so,
with the
yeah.
inside part of it, yes.
Yeah, that would be nice. It's not that we spend all of our time visiting churches, but there are some beautiful places that you do want to visit and that you want to see because of the architecture and the beauty that is there. Now, here's the shot from the outside, the church just looking down the lane, as you can see, and nothing
Shows
around
you
but a
nothing's
farmhouse.
there, absolutely. There's
But
a
beauty.
Yeah,
Nothing but beauty.
But there was a little lady that has a farm right in the back of the church, and she was out there shoveling the straw and the stuff for the cattle. Mm-hmm.
Oh, that's something. Well, we are going to learn more about King Ludwig a little bit later on, but and not in today's show, but another one. And we are getting close now to Oberammergau. Now, Betty, we should explain that there's Ammergau and Oberammergau, under the river and over the river. There are two villages.
I leave
there.
all that up to you. You know, you are the expert in the pronunciations of words.
I'm trying to pronounce that right because I've been mispronouncing it, but I learned that Ober was over and Under is under. And this is the church, a beautiful church, which we'll go into in another program there in Oberammergau. But Betty, what do you say? Let's go and visit some dancers and give everybody a taste of some of the wonderful music and the costumes. Would
Let's
you
get
like
away
to do
from
that?
the rain for just a little
I
bit.
think
huh?
that would be
And
a
come
good
back.
idea.
That would be fun.
All righty. And so away we go, and we hope that you'll enjoy this because it is a lot of fun.
Now, let's visit a forest party being held by the Oberammergau Folk Costume Association. This offers a fine opportunity to examine up close the folk costumes of the Werdenfels district. First, here with the dancing young men. They're wearing short lederhosen made of chamois or stag leather, a white shirt, and embroidered suspenders, a green velvet hat with eagle down, white calf-length stockings, and black Oxford shoes. This is the famous Schuhplattler, probably the most popular folk dance in the Alpine region, which visitors especially enjoy watching. course, the costumes of the young women are even more decorative. Colorful skirts, white blouses over which is worn a mida, or tight vest, with a schnurl, or silver chain, carrying various charms and trinkets. This forest party is a favorite meeting place for both strangers and local residents, for young and old. Yes, and many of these young people are already carrying on the tradition of folk dancing.
Wasn't that fun, Betty?
Yeah, I like that a
Oh,
lot.
I love those
Yeah.
costumes. But right now, let's learn about the story of the Passion Play at Oberammergau.
Oberammergau Passion Play goes back to the plague vows sworn by the citizens during the 30 Years' War. These frescoes recall what happened. After 84 residents had already died, the community swore to perform every 10 years a play about the suffering and death of the Savior, Jesus Christ, if God would remove the scourge of the plague from them. It is said that from that hour on, no one else died of the plague. The vow was made in 1633, and the first Passion Play followed in 1634. This house was named for Rochus Daedla, the famous composer. He was a school teacher and in 1815 wrote the music which is still being used today for the Passion Play. The Passion Play Theater. Without exception, all actors are residents of Oberammergau. They must have been born here or lived here at least 20 years. About 1,400 people are involved in the play. 400 in the administration, and about 1,000 as actors. The play lasts the whole day, from 8:15 in the morning until about 5:30 in the afternoon, interrupted only for a break for lunch. In preparation, rehearsal performances are held regularly during the years without a Passion Play. The Passion Play has been subject to numerous changes over the centuries. But despite these changes, some things remain the same. The international attraction of the Oberammergau Passion Play and the unbroken commitment of the town citizenry. Even today, no one can question the conclusion of Father Deisenberger, who in the last century edited the play's text. He was of the opinion that visitors to the play do not come to Oberammergau because of the prose or the poetry, but solely because of the striking emotional impact of the play, because of its powerful fascination, which comes directly from the cross. millions of visitors, these scenes from the Passion Play are inseparably connected with the memory of Oberammergau in the Werdenfels district, surrounded by green forests and meadows.
Betty, that is so interesting. Would you like, shall we take our cameras
Oh,
backstage?
sure. We've got some great ones. Let's go show
Okay,
them.
let's we're not supposed to take cameras back there, but we kind of snuck this one back, and let's see what our local guide has.
It was enacted on the graveyard of Oberammergau on a simple wooden podium and without any audience. Only in 1830, the site of the play was finally fixed in this so-called Passion Meadow on the edge of the village, where this building was erected in 1900. In 1930, the stage was improved, but since 1930, nothing in this building has changed, and there are 5,000 seats for the audience. Enough place for the whole population of Oberammergau, of this little village. Well, the stage, with a breadth of 45 meters and a depth of 30 meters, is one of the biggest open-air stages all over the world. But this is necessary since there are 1,500 people participating in the play, and sometimes more than 800 actors are on the stage at the same time. And all our actors are laymen and inhabitants of Oberammergau. The play itself begins with the entry of Jesus to Jerusalem and ends with his resurrection, crucifixion, and, well, of course at first crucifixion, resurrection, and finally glorification. In between, there are several so-called living pictures. These are scenes from the Old Testament, displayed without any movement and in silence, but performed by human beings. I'll explain them a little later. The next play will be in 1990. It will be performed from May to September with 100 performances given. And each performance has a duration of almost 6 hours, 2.5 hours in the forenoon and more than 3 hours in the afternoon. Of course, the play will be performed without regard to the weather. That is, even when it's raining or in May, sometimes snowing. Well, and in this theater, only the Passion Play will be performed, and no other play. And our black iron curtain protects the middle stage against all weather influences. And we'll have a look behind our black iron curtain.
I thought we were quite fortunate being able to get backstage and being able to take our camera back there. The young man said he really didn't mind, but you're not supposed to do that.
No, but he was very nice. We
Yeah.
didn't really go against him. We weren't
No.
kind of sneaking. He let us do
No,
it.
that's true. And unfortunately, though, our microphone was cutting in and out on this particular thing, so
But it wasn't my fault, even if I was holding it, Marv.
I didn't say that. I didn't say
No, but
that.
I was holding it,
Right.
but it just wouldn't do it.
He explains here about this cross and that the person playing Jesus can only be on that cross for about 20 minutes because it is such a strain, even though there's a place built in for the back there. And you notice, you say, well, how do you get the nails through the hands? And we're going to show this here, and you can see now very carefully how that's done. So on stage, it would look as though the...
And even the
there was-
color, you see, that
yeah,
on
the makeup
Uh-huh.
of the blood. In fact, that's the only makeup that they use in the whole play is
That's right, is the
the
red.
blood. But this young man was very knowledgeable in giving the tour, and this is a beautiful theater. And here we go, Betty. This is a
Yes,
table used for the Last Supper scene. Over 300 years old. Isn't that amazing? I mean, that, again, as we stated before, that's older than our whole country is.
That's right, that's right.
300 years old.
Well, it's strange, almost incredible to think that this play has been going on for over 300 years.
That's true. That's true. And I'm just so excited that we're going to have the chance to be there. Well, let's go backstage and listen to more explanation from our local guide.
Okay.
Well, we've come to a very military section now with the cloakrooms of the Roman soldiers and the Jewish temple guard. Here you can see some of the Roman soldiers with their full equipment, And during the condemnation scene, more than 800 people are on the stage at the same time. And it's a very, very loud scene, especially when more than 700 people are shouting, "Crucify him," and things like that. It's a scene with a lot of action. Here you can see one of the actors of Jesus Christ from 1980, and this photo shows us the only makeup used in the play. It's the red color for the blood. In the play, no other makeup is used, but all our male actors have to grow their beards and relatively long hair, with the exception of the Roman soldiers.
But I think one of the interesting things while we were there, the local priest of the parish there took the principal players in the Passion Play, while we happened to be there that week, down to the Holy Land to give them a real feeling for the parts that they were going to be playing.
They wanted it to be authentic, right?
And it was interesting, too, because one night we had dinner at the restaurant of the man who plays Pontius Pilate, and the guest house where we were staying, our host there had played for many years Caiaphas, the high priest. And it was nice to have Caiaphas serving you coffee every morning, right?
I'd like to remark a little bit, Marv, about the way that everything is put in shape here with so orderly.
Yes, it certainly is.
Most important, or let's say the most impressive scene of the whole play is without doubt the crucifixion scene. But for the actor of Jesus, it's a very exhausting scene and no easy task. Here you can see him hanging on the cross for more than 20 minutes. That's a really long time. His hands and arms have to be in very good shape, and it requires a lot of training until he is capable of staying on the cross for such a long time. Of course, during the crucifixion scene, the stage is darkened and artificial lightning and thunder is made. You can see many of the main actors on the stage. Here in the background, the Roman soldiers, the Roman captain, the Apostle John, his mother Mary, Magdalena, the high priests Caiaphas and Annas, all our Jewish merchants, and of course, the guys who nailed him onto the cross. And it's without doubt one of the key scenes of the play.
Betty, we should report that our May trip is sold out, but we're doing the exact same trip in September the 5th, right?
Yeah, that's right. Isn't that exciting to think the trip is sold out?
And that one's almost sold out, too. So if you are interested in going with us, please contact Betty right away so that we can get your deposit in and that we can hold a seat for you. Because
I do have to know, and I do have to have your deposit because it's going to be on a first-come, first-served basis.
That's right. Well, that's it for this time. We hope to see you next time.